The Curse of the Dark Forest. As the sun dipped below the horizon, darkness began to envelop the depths of the forest. The gentle breeze rustling through the leaves turned into an eerie melody. Michael, one of the young men from the village, had stepped into this ominous forest on a dare from his friends. He had set out to catch a glimpse of the terrifying figure the villagers called the Dark Man. According to legend, the Dark Man had once been a woodcutter living in the forest. However, his greed led him to cut down a sacred tree, and he was cursed as a result. Since then, he had wandered the forest as a shadowy figure, consumed by rage. Those who entered the forest at night were said never to return. Michael, holding a lantern, walked along the path, feeling the oppressive silence around him. Moonlight filtered through the branches, but it wasn't enough to light his way. With every step, his heart beat faster. He tried to suppress his fear, determined to appear brave to his friends. But now, regret weighed heavily on him. After a while, he heard a faint crying sound deep within the forest. It was as if a child were sobbing softly. He turned his lantern toward the sound but saw nothing. At that moment, the wind suddenly stopped, and an eerie stillness blanketed the area. A rustling sound came from behind him. Michael turned quickly, but there was nothing there. His breath quickened, and his hands trembled. "It's just a game," he whispered to himself. But then, from the darkness, a towering silhouette emerged. A tall figure with a shadowed face and glowing eyes stood before him, holding a rusty axe that seemed to crack the ground with each step. Who's there?" Michael stammered. The figure didn't answer, only stood silently, staring at him before slowly advancing. Michael felt as though his feet were rooted to the ground. He wanted to run but couldn't move. When the Dark Man finally spoke, his voice was low and guttural. "No one finds peace in this forest. Those who dare to enter meet my curse." Summoning all his strength, Michael screamed and began to run. But the forest seemed endless, its paths twisting and merging. The Dark Man's shadow was always right behind him. While running, Michael tripped over a root and fell to the ground. Looking back, he saw the Dark Man looming over him, his fiery eyes burning in the darkness. In a desperate act, Michael pointed his lantern at the figure. The bright light momentarily illuminated the Dark Man's face. It was decayed, with empty sockets where his eyes should have been. Michael screamed and shut his eyes. When morning came, the villagers found Michael unconscious at the edge of the forest. But he never spoke of what had happened that night. From that day on, no one dared to enter the forest again. Yet, some villagers whispered that the Dark Man still wandered the forest at night, his presence an eternal reminder of the curse.